This episode of the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast is brought to you by Patreon and the Gentleman Scofflaw merchandise page. Go to gentlemanscofflaw.com. In the menu, click the support or shop links to help support the show.
You are listening to the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast. Listener beware.
Rise and shine, the liquor store is open. I ain't got time for moping. I best be on my way. Well, I still got time to save my reputation. Time to go day drinking in this dirty little town.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast, the podcast for the rebel and the Renaissance man. I'm your host, Jordan Crowder. Co-hosting with me, not in person, but from remote, is the Donovan Fowler. How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. It's raining here in Kansas, but,
Raining.
guess it's not a bad thing.
Raining in Kansas, huh? It's actually kind of hot here right now in LA.
I heard you guys are having a heat wave. We're getting a little bit of a chill over here, so
a tropical heat wave. It's not a tropical desert heat wave.
Yeah, I don't
in California.
Mediterranean. We'll call it a Mediterranean heat wave, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we got to get into some housekeeping. Which what do you got there, Donovan?
Oh, yeah.
I see you're pouring yourself something.
I got my Evan Williams bottle and bond, the white label, which you can barely see against the white door here. But yeah, it's become a regular staple in my, I guess, on my bar cart. Like I'd say typical bourbons for me are Evan Williams, bottle and bond, Buffalo Trace, and on very, very special occasions, Eagle Rare.
That's a good combo of things. Right now, I've got kind of an experiment going here since it's kind of a hot day. I haven't tasted this yet. Okay, so what I did
looks dangerous.
What I did is I got some Jocko white tea. I made some Jocko white tea, pomegranate white tea concentrate, and I put some gin in there. Made a little kind of, it's kind of a summer hot toddy. It's a cold toddy.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
So,
it was officially coined the cold toddy here on the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast. I feel like you need like something extra with that. Like you need like some sort of garnish.
It's pretty good.
Garnish a cold toddy with.
It's pretty good. I almost think you could use maybe a little bit of lemon, or I don't know, maybe some orange. But it's pretty
probably
good.
Some citrus. Yeah, that makes sense. My parents have been getting into big time like gin and tonics lately.
Oh yeah,
that's been their drink of choice.
That's good when it's hot.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's good when it's hot. It's a good refresh.
And I
will do a gin and tonic.
Sorry, we were losing you there for a sec. Glories of the quarantine connection here. In my pipe, I've got a corn cob, cool smoking pipe, and I've got some Orlick Golden Slice, which is smoked by all shrewd judges. It says is their slogan, and it is a Virginia tobacco, so it's very light kind of hay, kind of citrusy tobacco. So I'll get that lit.
Well, I'm glad they cornered that. Shrewd judges market. I wonder if that's really that's so back on the day when judges used to smoke from the bench. I don't know if that was ever really a big thing though. I feel like it was always like the judge would, sentence somebody to death, and then they would they all rise, and then they come down the stairs, go into their chambers, take off their robe, and then light up some Orlick.
Yeah,
Slive.
I don't know if you want to judge smoking anything when he's about to sentence you to death.
No, this is after. This is after. He's got to take the edge off when he sentences that juvenile shoplifter to be beheaded.
Yeah,
So.
Speaking of which, I don't know what you've been watching a lot in your quarantine, but we've been watching Forensic Files. Have you seen any of that?
No, I think my little sister watches that sometimes, though.
It's pretty fun. I think there's a lot of jumping to conclusions on that show, but they do seem to catch a lot of people. I just like watching it.
I've never watched it.
Whoops! I think we're getting a little delay there. Donovan, you just look like you had a stroke. For those of you who are watching online, we're getting some sort of a poor connection here. And there's Donovan's back.
Yeah. I'm back, baby.
You froze and it looked like you had a stroke. That's what I was telling the listeners.
Better than ever. It's, I mean, I supposedly I was Zooming with some friends the other day, and I apparently froze, and I looked like I was in a Better Health commercial or something. Like I had my arms like this, and I was like smiling up at the corner of the room or something. It was you had to be there. You had to see a screenshot.
You had to be there. Speaking of which, listeners, if you got to smoke something for the summer, or maybe drink something, be out on the porch, maybe during quarantine, you might be getting outside. What would be your refreshing combination of drink and smoke? Go ahead and leave that in the comments below, or send us an email. We'd love to get your ideas and try them out maybe in future episodes.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be reviewing quite a few cocktails. I'm going to try to review a cocktail every episode if I can. Yeah.
That'd be good.
It'll be interesting. Hear what the viewers / listeners are up to.
And later on the show, actually just in a quick bit, we're going to have our good friend Zach Anner on talk about what he's been up to. But Donovan, I sent you this link this week, a couple links. We were talking about these things. Might be fun to talk about on the show here. But have you seen this video where this monkey comes in on a motorcycle and then grabs this little like toddler and then just drags her away across the pavement? And the toddler's okay after this, like, by the way, which is the only reason why it's like it's funny to watch.
At least physically okay. Dude, that kid is going to be I don't know how you get over something like that. I mean, I imagine the nightmares that kid has now of monkeys jumping off motorcycles. First of all, I think Joe Rogan was talking about it. I did see the clip. He was talking about it, and he made it sound like the monkey had intentionally gotten on a motorcycle with the mission to snatch this kid. But
like
I don't
it's the
really
Wizard
know
of Oz.
Well, yeah, I don't really know if that's the case. I mean, granted, dude, some of the stuff that chimps and stuff are starting to do, it sometimes freaks me out because it's like, what are they up to? But no, it's the way I saw it in the clip, it looked like there was a guy who was like maybe pushing the motorcycle or something, like guiding it, like sending the monkey down the aisle or the alley.
I didn't see that. And then
I thought that I saw that out of the corner of my eye. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, yes, monkey crashes into this audience of children and decides to just grab a toddler and go full on Harambe and take it and drag it down the street. That kid, dude, I felt so bad for that kid. But dude, that monkey was vicious. He's a killer.
Well, somebody said in the comments that apparently this is like the family's chimp, and that the toddler and this chimp get along a lot already.
What the hell, dude? What the hell are people thinking? Having chimps in the house. Like, this is not. My dogs just got freaked out when I said that. They were like, "What? Chimp in the house?" No, but I mean, like, have we learned nothing from the horrible stories of what chimps do to people when they're I don't know, threatened? Have you heard stories like that? Like that one woman who was on Oprah, she for years had like an orangutan or a chimp as a pet,
Yeah.
And like it like bit her hands off and like mauled her face.
Yeah, there's one where they just like, I think there was, I don't know if it was a gorilla or a chimp or whatever it was, but literally just pulled her face off.
Yeah, it was I think it was a
pizza
chimp.
toppings.
Yeah, it was a chimp. It was I think it was her pet, and
Yeah.
she had it, and dude, those things are freaking scary. I would not have one of those around my kids.
No, I
for
don't
the
know.
record,
I wouldn't trust it.
but you know what? This is what you get. So the parents should not be harboring such. And I mean, have we not? First of all, I mean, I think Raiders of the Lost Ark and most any movie like Raiders of the Lost Ark is a good example of why we shouldn't trust monkeys, because you know that monkey did try to poison Indiana Jones with the bad dates.
I like how like all of your life lessons only come from movies. You're always like, I don't know how many times on the show, somebody who's a listener, who's an editor that wants to do a compilation of Donovan's. Have we learned nothing from?
I once thought of writing a book called Everything I Know I Learned from Movies. And I think it's
that'd be
much
so good. You should write it.
But you know, it would basically just be like Chris Farley in that SNL sketch where he has Bruce Willis on on his talk show, and he's like, remember that time they they shot the glass and it went everywhere, and you didn't have any shoes on and you had to run across the glass.
Yeah.
You remember that? Like, it's just like it would just be, but
really like
but
Chip
yes.
Douglas from The Cable Guy.
My favorite line from The Cable Guy, quick segue, is my brother is a fairly brilliant speech therapist. and then Jim Carrey just like kind of like hugs himself a little bit and he's like, though.
Oh man, that's a classic.
That's my little brother didn't know what Cable Guy was.
Really?
I small tear.
You gotta go ahead and show it to him then. During it should be a quarantine playlist. On other news this week, also terrifying news this week is the fact that these murder hornets have made their way to the United States.
It's Louise. Everything's trying to kill us. I mean, everything. I'm looking at my golden retrievers now suspiciously. Like, what are you gonna do next? Oh man, yeah. Murder hornets. I heard about that. I guess they came over from Japan. Not blaming the Japanese on this one, but just a fact.
The conspiracy theorists are just loving this. They're like, all of Asia is trying to take out the United States right now, is what they're all saying.
That was something somebody in my house said was like, it's from Asia. Everything's coming from Asia. And I kind of stopped and I was like, well, Asia's a pretty big place.
Yeah.
Like it's like half the world. So, but that being said, yes, murder hornets are terrifying little creatures. Although I've heard the bees are fighting back.
Yeah, well,
it's like the sequel.
I don't know if you've seen, like, they basically hang around beehives, and then when a bee comes by, they grab it and decapitate it.
And they do it in a very
fast.
They're like very fast about it too.
Yeah.
They're like very like agile. But what I heard is that the bees have figured. I mean, if bees don't already have enough issues to worry about, like, I mean, the bee population is already down significantly, I guess, according to Mark Wahlberg, and basically, but points if you get that reference in the comments, but. Anyways, so the bees already seem to be having enough problems, and then they have to worry about getting decapitated on their way to work. And supposedly, the bees have come up with a defense plan, like literally, I'm not joking about this, where they form like a tight, like enclosure using their bodies around the hornet. So once they locate the hornet, they'll surround it and they'll enclose it, and then they like radiate their body heat and they like cook the hornet until it's dead.
What? That can't be real.
It's real. Well, I mean,
sounds like
it's real.
Fake news to me.
It's real according to Fox News.
Okay.
I heard it from a scientist on Fox News, Jordan. Don't screw me on this one. No, but dude, that's what I heard.
That's crazy.
These things, they're also huge. These freaking
Yeah,
hornets.
I saw another video, which we could roll here, which is I saw on, I don't know if you follow Nature is Metal on Instagram or Twitter. It's a great account if you're in the just seeing all the horrible sides of nature that vegans love to ignore. But there's this video of a praying mantis holding, like, it captures one of these murder hornets and just starts eating on its head, just eating eating it away like it's a sandwich. But the murder hornet stinger is still like coming around as his brain and head. I don't know, bugs probably don't have brains, but as his head is almost completely gone, trying to stab him with his
It's like
his
watching.
stinger.
It's like watching a like a scorpion and I don't know, a tarantula fight or something.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, those kind of things. It's like they're fun to watch, but they take forever. It's like you wish that there was like, you know, the Cliff Notes version where like they had several angles of the fight. Then they could cut out a lot of the boring, you know, like slow, like, you know, and then, you know,
you're
just
basically
turns into
watching the Jim Jarmusch version as opposed to the Michael Bay version.
Yes, exactly. You look, see, this is how you can relate to me. No, but yeah, man, it's terrifying.
It is pretty terrifying place.
We don't have enough to worry about.
If you guys have any cool like links to stuff like weird things in nature, go ahead and link them. We'll talk about them on the show. We love that stuff.
Be careful. You're opening up a door to all sorts of links that are going to be sent to us. We're going to have to hire an intern and then pay for their therapy after you start sending us that stuff.
Anyway, all right. So what we're going to do is take a quick break, and we're going to be back talking to our good friend Zach Anner, and we'll talk to you at the end of the show. Men or women, this one's for you. Let me take a second to talk to you about GoRuck. Now, you've heard us on this show talk about their awesome endurance events, which are, you know, great for fitness and team building. But of course, they are known for their amazing gear. Some of the best gear in the world, actually. I myself own a GR1 rucksack for all my rucking and training. I also have one of their 30-pound ruck plates, which is so convenient because I could just drop it in the laptop compartment on my bag, and I have a weighted ruck. It's super cool. But one of my all-time favorite things that they offer are their sandbags. Now, if you've never trained with a sandbag, you're in for a treat. I love that you can keep it in the trunk of your car and take it to the park, and you have a gym anywhere. Ever try doing sandbag man makers with 60 pounds? I mean, you get a fun and very hard training session in really quickly. It's a big bag of suck in all the right ways. Now, even if you're not in the rucking, they have tons of sleek apparel for the outdoors in addition to their gear that is tough as nails and built to military standards. Also, their apparel and gear offer their scars a lifetime warranty, so you buy the item once and that's it. You're set for life. But you know what the greatest thing is about GoRuck? All of it is made in the good old USA, and by Special Forces veterans, mind you. It doesn't get more badass than that. That's right, America. To check out GoRuck gear, go to gentlemanscofflaw.com/GoRuck, and anything you buy through that link helps support the show. That's gentlemanscofflaw.com/GoRuck. Whether it's for your fitness regimen, your outdoor lifestyle, or just, a great bag for everyday carry, you're going to want to check them out. GoRuck, built in the USA. All right, I'm excited to have this guest, good friend for a long time and friend of the show, second time on the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast.
How many? Who's the most frequent guest?
Currently, you, Tanner, and Bobby Henline are the twofers.
But you know what? I think he beat them because I think this is his third time, and right?
Is it
so? This is his third time.
That's true. You've appeared in some other like sketches and recordings we've done. So you're the third. Yeah, like when we did some stuff for Christmas a few years ago, where everybody left some Christmas voicemails. Yeah, you were in that.
Cool.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I'm back home in Buffalo, in my childhood home. in my childhood bedroom, and it feels great. I'm 35, and this is where we ended up.
Oh gosh. That's so. Is your childhood room still the same, or is your mom made any alterations to it or anything? Or?
If anything, there's more stuffed animals now. No, I
saw a
think
picture.
it's roughly the same. I feel like because we moved to this house when I was about 14, and yeah, it hasn't changed that much.
I saw a picture of the Eiffel Tower in there, so clearly you were a very cultured 14-year-old.
Yeah. My aunt painted me that because I went to. This was a gift for my 13th birthday because when I was 12, we went to Europe with my dad.
Oh,
and
fun.
So, that's the only culture I have, though. That's it.
Not bad.
On
Not bad.
On the opposite wall, is there a picture of Britney Spears or somebody?
Schoolgirl outfit.
No, there's a picture of me at the top of the Sears Tower, now the Willis Tower.
You got something for towers and buildings. That's your
I feel like once it gets the level of notoriety as the Sears Tower, you can't change the name no matter who buys it.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, I still call it the Sears Tower. I was shocked to find out that they had renamed it. It felt like a violation of the Windy City.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I didn't care that much about it, but it was still like I'm not accepting it.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know what Willis is. I mean, I barely know what Sears is because I haven't been there in 20 years, but...
I mean, is there a Sears?
There. You know what? There is one in Santa Monica. It was designated a historical landmark. I don't really know if you... I don't know if you can go into it, but... There is technically a Sears does still exist.
Well,
I'd like to know the person that got up and went to the council meeting and was like, we need to have a Sears museum. We got to keep this for the kids. They need to know what Sears was.
A place where you could buy both a riding mower and gym shorts in the same shopping trip.
Gosh. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why we stopped doing that.
Well,
I understand.
The internet, it breaks everything.
Yeah.
But that sounds like that was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, blame Amazon.
Lacey went through a Sears at a mall in the last couple of years. I forget which one it was. Maybe there's one. Is there one in Burbank, or maybe it was in North Hollywood or something?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Burbank sounds about right. That seems like maybe it would survive in Burbank for a while.
She went through and there was nobody in there. She said it was like a ghost town, but then this like manager like popped out of nowhere and was like, "Hey," she's like, "Hey, are you looking for anything? Can I help you?" And she goes, and he goes, "Oh, you're going to the mall, aren't you?" It was the most saddest thing. Even malls
that's the point of being a manager of Sears now, is that you just help people who are lost and found themselves in Sears.
You're a glorified directions. What do they call it?
I can help you get out of here. We can get out of the city.
Sounds like a Twilight
episode.
It's
too late for me, but you can still run.
Well, I feel like it used to be like that with malls in general until I moved out to California. It seems like malls in California are still a bigger deal, but
because they're all outdoors. That's the thing, is that they all converted them to be outdoor malls, which is cooler. But I do think that the 2000. Here's my theory. Being a millennial, I think the 2009 financial crisis, the malls took a big hit. But then again, the retail is sort of down. So, I don't know.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. Hot take. Clip that. Clip that and put it on Business Insider.
Affected retail.
I'm just a millennial, but outdoor malls, pretty cool.
Yeah, great. Jordan, you are very aggressively saying that you are from Los Angeles today. What's going on?
Because he's saying that because we're not there. Because we're both exiles.
Gotta represent Los Angeles.
Yeah, right.
Well, because I don't want anyone to seem
time for you to get into baseball.
Yeah, terrible time. No, this is my obligatory. Los Angeles. Move to Los Angeles. You got to get a Dodgers cap. But also my quarantine hair is kind of looking a little ridiculous. It's getting
I hate
high
to
on
tell
top.
you this, Jordan. It looks the same as it always does.
Please, there are ladies present. Put that back on.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wore this. I wore this when I went home, and my whole family gave me crap. My brother was saying, "Hey, look at him. He's an LA guy. He's an LA guy." I'm like, I don't know. You got to support the city you live in.
Yeah,
Except when it's LA.
If they're doing well, at least.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Got to support all those. A city whose population is mostly homeless at this point.
What has done well for Buffalo in a while? I don't know much about sports, but
Wings.
Don't ask that. That's not going to lead to any joyful conversation. Here's the thing. We almost did well in football. We got to the playoffs this year.
That's right.
And then we were just winning the first half and
no pun intended.
The second half, which is a very Buffalo thing to do. The way Buffalo works is you get people's hopes up and then you crush them. And the more that you can crush them, like they only win to have the disappointment be bigger.
But you get extra points if you do it during a blizzard or like the biggest snowstorm of the year.
Yeah,
Jeez.
you know what I did recently?
What?
So I don't play a lot of video games, but I bought John Madden on Xbox.
Oh my God.
Just so that I could make myself a character and play as the Bills and experience what it was like to win a Super Bowl. So I put it on the easiest setting you possibly could, and I won a Super Bowl as the Bills.
This sounds like a Disney movie waiting to happen.
Oh man, that's like almost like VR. You basically created your own VR experience of.
Yeah.
Man.
They didn't have a guy who looked like me, and you can make the guys kind of look like you, but they didn't have a wheelchair or anything. So what I did was I made a football player, a quarterback who was 5'6" and 400 pounds. And man, he could not be knocked down. He started running. It wasn't very fast, but you couldn't tackle him.
Oh man,
That's how you know representation has hit an all-time high is when they start providing wheelchair options in Madden.
Why
Madden
not?
video game.
It's a video game.
I'm all for it.
Who
Yeah.
cares?
yeah.
You
Possible.
just do it.
Gosh, it makes me think of when I was a kid. My cousins had this karate game on the old Nintendo, and I didn't know. It was really easy for me to play, and I was just kicking ass on this karate game at every round, and I found out I was playing 2-player mode.
Oh my
And I was the one player.
So did that sense of false confidence just carry you through your whole life?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it didn't last very long because at one point I was playing like a whole afternoon, and like then he came in and realized he's like, oh, you're on 2-player mode, and he went to the menu and went back and played, and I could not play the game. I was so terrible at it. I just gave up right away.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because if that's where you're starting with video games, there's really nowhere left to go.
Exactly.
You're the best player that ever was because there are no other players. What happens?
I don't know. Jeez, I was looking into getting an old Nintendo or like one of those old Nintendo simulators to have more things to waste time during this quarantine.
And what did we discover?
Well, there's a bunch of these you could buy online, like that come from China for like $30 to $40. That like have a bunch of old arcade and Nintendo games on them. Apparently, though, some of them are like bootlegged and in different languages, or like there might be glitches in some of the games and stuff.
Might
I feel
explode
like
in your living room.
that's a good investment.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
should order one and then report back on the podcast
Yeah.
whether or not it's legit.
And
Or
report
if
back
you
in
had to
the
learn Chinese just to play Mario.
yeah, exactly. Report back in the language that you had to learn in order to play it.
Exactly.
So, you know,
But
Mandarin.
Educational and fun.
Exactly. Yeah, they're doing the whole world a favor.
yeah, I remember as a kid going to a mall at one of the video game stores, and there was some game where you'd play like regular Mario, but there was all these hidden things in it. Like I used to call it Invisible Mario as a kid. So you could like run across one of the craters and you wouldn't fall through and stuff. And it was like I think that's what this was like one of the bootleg games or something.
See, that seems like perfect for you as somebody who likes playing video games with absolutely no resistance whatsoever.
Exactly.
Like, why don't we do that?
Yeah,
That
that's
seems great.
I'll try it out. We could I don't know if there's a way to hook it up through the internet, but we could all play against each other and I could just play by myself.
Yeah, that's it.
We could
You'll
just all
support that.
watch you play with no opposition and just sail through.
I should
Great.
I should just start a streaming channel where it's just me playing by myself on two player
Twitch stream that business. I'm sure you'll get a big following.
Yeah. So what have you guys both been doing in this? I mean, Zach, what have you been doing in this quarantine? What are the
I'm sorry,
activities?
I forgot. I don't matter.
Well, we talked about this earlier.
Whatever. It's only been a week.
Wait, this is my 8th week of being back in Buffalo.
Oh, wow.
And so far, I've played a bunch of Yahtzee and done some writing, a little bit of script writing with Jillian.
That's good.
And that's been fun. And then it really, the way that the day goes is I always plan to take a shower, and it's about a 25% chance that I will. Today was one of those days where I was like, I got to do something. I should take a shower. And then I didn't. And mainly my days could be described in what I didn't do. I didn't do a lot.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. No, I could definitely relate to that, especially as a married person who doesn't do anything in the day right now.
Doesn't Jim Gaffigan have that joke where he's like, yeah, some days it's like you all you have to do is just take a shower, and you're like, well, time for bed.
That's what it is. That's
all. Yeah.
Like all the days are blending together.
Yeah.
But and then the big thing is that I've just been prepping you to move me out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's true.
You've been getting. I feel like my purpose in life is to make you busy.
Yeah, that's what you've been
now.
doing. Getting your mail.
My mail, moving home my stuff.
You're gonna hire Gentleman Scofflaw moving services to to get you out of LA.
And I've been trying to get you to take a vacation in my apartment before it's gone.
Yeah,
downtown, baby.
Me up on that, as far as I know.
Which we might do. I mean, Lacey and I went and picked up some stuff last week, and we're like, we should come downtown and make a night of it. And we're like, oh crap, there's nothing to do downtown right now. There's a nice restaurant.
True.
There's a nice.
Yeah,
it really is like kind of this whole time is really. If you ponied up and were like, I'm going to live in one of the most expensive cities,
Yeah.
you made a huge mistake.
Yeah, there's nothing going on.
it's a nice, expensive vacation, is what it is.
One thing that I saw was cool downtown, because since the streets are mostly empty, I guess you kind of got out of it before the shutdown happened, Zach. But there was just like 3 guys that were racing on moped bikes down in your area? Like, you know, the bikes that you convert into like a motorized bike where you put the lawnmower on it. So
Oh man.
I was like, oh, that'd be fun to do in LA when there's no cars around.
Yeah, until the cops freaking like shoot you for, you know, for being
Have you
outdoors without a mask.
Have you seen like the have you looked out at the sky? Is the pollution less, Jordan? Have you noticed?
It does seem like definitely like I haven't been out much at night, but the smog isn't as bad as it has been in the past for sure. Like it's definitely clearer when you like, at least even in the beginning of the quote unquote lockdown, when the trails were still open, when I went up and like you could still see the city very clearly, much more so than before. So I bet it's better now, but I haven't been up anywhere where I could see it.
The irony is that this time of year, around like March, April, May time, it's like all the rain and wind comes in and it like clears all that stuff out anyways. So I'm sure it's super crisp. I mean, Glendale is pretty nice to begin with, right? I mean, like usually you're not getting like a whole lot of the brunt of the pollution up there.
No,
but
not as much. But you do get the brunt of the drivers that can mow you over while you're walking the street.
Oh yeah,
people just zoom around.
Glendale seemed like it was. It seemed the most like a suburb of any place I visited in LA.
Yeah.
I looked at apartments there too, and I was like looking for places to walk around, and it's like there was like I think a Waffle House.
Yeah, that's the thing is like in Glendale, there's only two places where you could walk around. Is like if you live downtown, like with the brand and stuff, and then if you go up the hill to like Montrose, there's a bunch of walkable stuff there, which is where we're closer to Montrose than downtown. But other than that, yeah, it's mostly suburban and it's very rolling. Like it's still like it's suburban, but you're still in the hills, so it's like a weird combo that you don't have in other places.
It's a cool place.
See, this is fascinating to me, but as you were saying that, I was like, this has got to be the most boring conversation for anyone who's
I'm
not
sure.
from LA.
Except
from
for
LA.
the one guy who's like,
Describing Glendale.
Describing Glendale.
Not what you tune into a podcast for. Like, I might want to move there someday.
Tune in next week when we go to Burbank.
Yeah, exactly. Or when we go to Altadena.
Altadena, yeah.
Zach, you said you were working on some scripts. Is there anything you could talk about, or you got to keep it under wraps?
See, what we're working on now is a script that's sort of loosely based on just what a big dork I was when I was 12, so I don't want to give too much away. But you know me, so there's basically it's got every embarrassing thing from when I was 12. So in the pilot, not only am I knocking everything over in all my classrooms because I have no motor skills, but I also urinate on myself. So not much has changed from being 12 to being 35. I still manage to do that every now and then.
I mean, at least you don't play video games on 2-player mode with nobody else in the room. I think you still have
there's
you still have good
level of
quality.
equivalency there. But I also the point that my mom makes to me in the script that she didn't make to me in real life, but I gave it to her, is that how lucky you are to have friends that make you laugh so hard you pee yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, Jordan, you are not one of those friends. You're pretty funny. But I don't. Have I ever peed myself in front of you?
No, I don't think so.
See, that's a real knock on you. I'm sorry.
That's how you know. Next time when I'm putting any of my friends or future wife through the litmus test, I'll know that if I laugh so hard that I pee myself, she's the one.
Yeah, I mean, really, and is there a better bonding experience than soiling yourself and having someone help
Especially,
you get through
yeah.
it?
I was gonna say, especially if they have to help.
Yeah.
Have there been any, like, Jordan, I know this is a gentleman's scofflaw, but have you and
Emphasis on
Lacey
scoff.
had any close calls?
I've had a couple, but no, not in. I mean,
Oh man.
I have a story of of the time I have done it to myself, but not Lacey has been spared that situation so far. But there was
How do you think she would react?
she's pretty laid back. She wouldn't care. She would just kind of laugh it off for the most part. Like it wouldn't become a big deal.
I would almost feel better if she cared, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like,
but she wouldn't be mad about it or grossed out by it.
she'd just laugh at you and walk
Yeah.
away.
So you have such a supportive partner
Yeah.
that you could be
Ladies,
crapping your pants all day, every day, and she wouldn't care, and you're not taking advantage of that privilege?
I know. I should test it out, especially after halal guys the next
Yeah,
morning.
just
I
go,
should see.
just go to Taco Bell and get their breakfast, and then take a long car drive up to Santa Clarita, and then see what happens.
I feel like I may have totally brought down the vibe of the podcast.
No, not at all.
Not at all. There's
No, after the Joe Rogan podcast, he was talking with Chris D'Elia about such things for over an hour. So I think we're good. I think we're good.
Nice.
I don't know if I might have told you this story, Zach, but there was a time when where I vividly remember doing this and nobody was around, but it was like one of the most disgusting things is I always, I've always been a walker or a hiker, and I went on a walk and miscalculated how much time I needed before I needed to go to the bathroom. And I thought, at one point, okay, I could make another lap around the block and take it home and I'll be fine.
Wait, you made another lap?
Well, I mean, I could
You had
finish
to go, and
the.
you're like, oh, it's
You got cocky.
Not even
Yeah.
like it was a place you hadn't.
He got cocky.
Around the block.
Yeah, I got cocky.
I can
got
do this.
cocky. And then at one point, it just like I felt it, and I was like, "There's no way!" Like I got to start running, and so I ran home. And
Wait, did you have your ruck on?
No, this was like I was
okay.
I was still in college at this point. This was
Okay.
like in Quebec when I still lived there. But so I I just remember just like holding my cheeks and then running home and then putting my key into the door to get in the building of my apartment building. And I don't know if you've ever had like a tube of like toothpaste or something that still keeps squeezing out after you've already stopped squeezing it. Well, that's like what it was. I couldn't control it, and I could feel it coming out like a tube of toothpaste.
I'm not brushing my
And
teeth.
it was just a big steaming ball in my shorts as the key went into the door. But
Well,
still,
at least you were home.
yeah. And
I
I had
gotta
to,
say, Jordan, the fact that you can tell this story so vividly and that it hasn't made it into a script is just.
It was a huge, it's clearly
Those are the formative moments.
clearly a turning point in your life.
Well, the worst part is so I still had to really go. So I went into my bathroom at home, dropped my shorts, and my shorts inverted and dropped the ball onto the tile.
No. Well,
Oh wow!
well, at least it was tile,
Yeah, it was
not carpet.
It was just definitely. But
Oh.
I know Zach has one in his book. If you guys want to grab his
Yeah.
book, that's really funny.
Oh yeah, that's the great way to plug my book. If you've loved this conversation, check out If at Birth You Don't Succeed. Available in all formats to be read on the toilet.
Exactly. Oh, jeez.
But yeah, so I don't know where to go from there.
I don't know. I feel like it always ends up becoming the scatological on podcasts.
The issue is I feel like there's no more human moment than doing that, because we dress ourselves up and we think, oh, we're hoity-toity, and we don't do those things. And I feel like, especially in these times, it sort of reveals your humanity when you take all those things away that we think we're in control of, and then you say, we're all people who are just a walk around the block away from crapping their pants. Like, that is just the purest moment someone can have.
It's humbling, it's definitely a starting point for self-improvement. I say if you're looking to improve yourself, just go there.
Many female guests on this podcast.
Except for the one that was mentioned earlier, who wouldn't care if Jordan.
We've had Michelle Carroll's been on before. I think that's with two female guests.
Yeah,
well, at least she has two women's names.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll say
Michelle and Carol.
Let's say 2.5 on that one.
But I have been reaching out to a lot of female guests. I think in the beginning it was more intimidating, but now I can point to those other episodes and steer them away from this episode when it comes to booking guests.
Glad I could help.
Oh man. Sometimes I always feel like when we're booking guests, like I always think, wait, what did we say on the latest episode that would deter them from coming on?
Yeah.
Oh,
and what's nice is that you can cut this out. You won't.
I won't.
But you could.
I
wouldn't dream of it.
I could.
This is gold, Zach. This is comedy gold.
Comedy gold. So, I mean, what have you been up to since the last time we talked that people would want to know about? I mean, you've been posting a lot of videos during this quarantine.
You know what? It's that this time is, as terrible as it is, there's been a part of it that is, I'm trying to be grateful for having the time with family, and also the time to make ridiculous things that I wouldn't have otherwise made.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of just putting stuff out there and realizing that it has I used to think, it's got to be perfect, or the edits have to be better than they are. But now I'm just doing all this one take stuff, thinking about is this going to brighten someone's day? Could this make a little bit of a difference? And it doesn't really matter if you put a ton of effort into something. The result, as long as you're joyful, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if you've found that.
Yeah,
it seems like every time I put my heart and soul into something, it doesn't seem to make any difference.
Yeah.
Just trying to make optimistic stuff, which I think is somewhat more necessary these days.
Definitely. And I think that one good thing is for artists and comedians and stuff is that there's always this kind of pressure to make sure everything that goes out is as perfect as it could be. And now it's that pressure's kind of lifted because everybody's in the same boat. Everyone has the same tools. Even you watch late night and they haven't figured out how to use their iPhones. So you're still at an advantage of producing content. But now what matters is really what you have to say, how funny you are, what you get. That kind of stuff is more important than the obstacle of actually creating it.
Unless you're on TikTok.
And I think what's been interesting about watching these late night hosts is a lot of them know how to play to an audience of a couple hundred people. But when you're putting stuff on YouTube and you're just filming things on your iPhone, it's about one person, right? And I think that a lot of them just don't understand when an audience isn't laughing hysterically, and it's just throwing them off a little bit.
Yeah.
Have
So
the late night
this is the time of the YouTuber, baby.
Yeah.
Have the late night guys been able to? Have they been able to? I mean, I don't watch late night TV anyways, but I know that they were like trying to do stuff to cope to begin with. But have they been able to keep anything rolling with their content?
They definitely are all putting up content to varying degrees of success.
Yeah, right.
And I think, it's sort of like John Oliver does a pretty good job still.
I can see that.
Feels
Yeah,
like the same show, but
right.
like a lot of the other ones are just like waiting for the laughs, and it's like the audience isn't there, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cringy.
that. I guess if you've been doing it for as long as they have, you get into like just your brain is in that rut of this is the format of it. You just gotta,
Right.
practice it in a new way. It's funny, like I've always thought, and I don't know if you think this, Zach, but in YouTube, especially like in the early days with like vlog style videos or like an address to the camera, I always found that like the jump cut was almost like the punchline in a video. Like that's kind of the format that it took, where like you can never do that in late night. But I feel like that, I don't know, for me, that's always kind of how I used it.
Yeah, I think in terms of the stuff that I do, and I'm not a master of anything by any means whatsoever, but like when I do a jump cut, it's more like giving the audience a moment of awkwardness to take it in, because the awkwardness oftentimes gets the laugh more than the punch itself.
Yeah.
So like if I do a joke and I laugh at it, I'm sort of being my own audience, and it's like we're laughing together instead of me presenting something to you that I think you should laugh at.
Yeah.
And I think that just makes it more intimate and fun.
Yeah, for sure.
By the way, that's how we're going to credit you as a master of what would you say? A master of nothing whatsoever.
Yes.
That's the Chiron we're going to give you. Have you ever done any stand up?
I did stand up once when I was doing the travel show on the Oprah Network. They did a thing where I had to go to Caroline's, which is this club in New York City, and they wanted me to write stand up based on the previous 48 hours in New York.
Yeah.
So all the material would be stuff that was already in the show.
Right.
So basically the first time I read those jokes was when I performed them on stage.
Yeah.
So like we wrote them that day, and then I performed them that night, and then like they had cue cards taped to the floor with my material on it, because I couldn't, like, it was literally the first time I had said it all out loud, so It was terrifying.
That is terrifying. I remember watching that. That was nerve-wracking watching that episode.
Yeah, and I would have like completely bombed on stage at the end. Like some of the material went well, but then like I had this big closer, and I ran out of breath in the middle of the closer.
Oh, no.
And it was just about to kill the punchline, and then my wheelchair broke on stage and saved it.
Oh, man.
Because I was so nervous that I was pushing so hard on my wheelchair that I broke a bolt in my whole wheelchair back.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was crazy.
How much force would that had to take to break it?
I mean, it was a lot. Like I was really pushing up against that thing.
It's crazy. Oh man, I forgot about that about that happening. But I remember that the jokes that you wrote were most of the you had a lot of humor in most of your segments on that show. People didn't have the same reps and experience you had with hosting and writing bits and jokes and stuff.
Yeah, it was strange because there are so many people with that skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like everyone's a host now.
Yeah, maybe. There's some people that still do
they
it
try.
pretty awkwardly.
But they still, everyone can get a show. I think that's the easy thing in the world to just get on TV. Don't let anyone tell you it isn't. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
That's
Good
one
takeaway.
That's one thing though that people don't like with your Oprah thing. If we want to talk about that for our listeners that don't know, which you can listen to our last episode, we'll link to it in the show notes where we talked with Zach about it. But by the time you got on that show, it was a reality show basically for somebody to get their own show that they would host. You had so much experience in college and in your videos growing up and stuff, being in front of a camera and doing that stuff. And people don't see all that thing. They see a bunch of reality show contestants and they think it's new to them, but you had all these reps under your belt.
Yeah, it was like our college experience definitely helped a lot with that. But I was surprised how many people were coming into it and they just had no idea what was going on. And I think what really helped me on that show was that, like, I understood and respected the crew a lot and what they were doing and what they were trying to do. So, like, having some knowledge of all the aspects of production, which we got a good sense of at the University of Texas, was like, it really gave me a leg up on things.
Yeah, for sure. And you more so than I, but you were always involved with like the student television station and like people that went to UT Film School, did not necessarily have the same experience as we had as being involved with the student television, because you had to, in order to learn film production, you have to be doing it. You can't do it in the classroom. And so many people could just go through film school and just sit there and learn it in academic sense, but never have had made anything by the time they get out.
Yeah, I think that would, I mean, sometimes I miss the just like having to, because we did a couple of shows together.
Yeah.
And like having the deadline of we need to do an episode a week was just really great in terms of instilling a work ethic and just understanding a production pipeline and stuff.
Yeah. For sure. I remember sometimes there'd be times where we'd be running the hard drive or the CD, DVD or the tape or whatever it was to the studio, and as it was airing on local television, like actually over the airwaves in people's homes, was the first time that it was playing in its entirety anywhere.
We'd notice all these like edits we didn't make. I'm like, I think there were a couple times where we actually had to export the first half and run it to the station, and also be like exporting the second half just to get it done. And like it was nuts.
That was crazy.
And my favorite memory, though, and I hate to bring it back to toilet humor, but
please.
You remember I made you do we did a sketch called the handicap stall.
Yeah.
And where I made you pretend like you were like taking over the big accessible stall.
Yeah.
And then there were all of these people with disabilities waiting outside and you were embarrassed. And you didn't like the idea of being somebody who was on the toilet. And we knew this, and we filmed you, and then we called you over from your dorm as we were editing, and we said, you have to make the noises of going to the bathroom. You have to make, we want you to be able to make the noises of the diarrhea. And there was no reason for us to do that. But we just knew that it would upset you. So we had you going into the mic and being like, we were very timid about it too.
That's weird.
That's one of my fondest memories.
That's funny. I don't. It's funny. I don't remember being timid, but I think that was when we first started doing stuff. It was like I was new to to the troop. Well, you guys had been doing that. That's Awesome was the name of the sketch show for a while before I had gotten there.
Yeah.
That was a funny show.
It's such a great concept too, because it's like, who hasn't, like, you know, you have choice of 2 stalls. It's like, who hasn't taken the handicap stall? I mean, you know,
Everybody wants that stall.
Yeah, it's, you know,
Be that
it's
big.
Cadillac.
whatever, what do they call it? Like the suite in the house that's like the biggest like suite, like the bedroom
Master
suite
bedroom.
or whatever. Yeah, the master bedroom. It's the master bedroom of the bathroom. Let's just be honest.
But if you take that stall, I feel like the agreement is I get to stare you down.
Oh, for sure.
You have
Yeah.
to be able to take that shame.
That's the gamble. That's the gamble that you take every time. And if you run it, and it's I feel like it's twice as bad if you encounter somebody with polio crutches.
Is it? I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like any disability, like, have you ever had that experience where you've walked out and there's been someone in a wheelchair or on crutches?
I was lucky. The one time that I ever came close, it was a very close call, but I was leaving just as they were coming in. So it was almost like a half, like it was like I got half shame.
So you
'Cause they were
primed
like,
it
if
for him.
I did. Well, you know, I like to think that I primed it equal parties. You know, I primed the whole bathroom for anybody
You're
who's
trying
coming
to
in.
make the case that you are 50% a terrible person.
Yeah, 50%. I know, because honestly, let's put it this way: I could have just stayed in there and watched YouTube videos and took my time, but I was hasty about it. I was prompt. I got out, and I held the door open for them as they went in. So, you know,
That's so thoughtful of you, you piece of shit.
I am a gentleman, Scofflaw. This is 50% of who I am. So, you know.
Oh man, that's good times. Oh yeah, we had a lot of good times in Austin. I think a lot about Austin. And I'm like, should I move back there someday? Who knows? It's probably changed so much, but it's been a while.
I feel like Austin's whole the homeostasis for Austin is that it has changed and it's never as good as it was.
Yeah,
That's the baseline. That's what everyone always says.
yeah.
I
Even
heard
when
the
we went to
latest thing,
school there, people were
scooters.
saying that.
Yeah, but that's made me realize that Austin is probably fine.
Yeah.
Because everyone's always saying that.
Yeah, it's true. I almost think like what I like about Austin though is even when I go back and it's changed a lot, there's still like an energy that the city has while you're there where it's like it's not like tense like New York, but it's not like also like maybe it's like it's got like the energy of like a New York but the laid back of like an LA. There's like this cool kind of like it feels like stuff is happening but it's also all right. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I feel like the difference with Austin versus like LA especially is LA has a sincerity problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Because and I don't think people mean to do it, but when you say that you're going to hang out with somebody in LA, you never mean it. Like it's like sometime is this nebulous thing, and it depends entirely on traffic.
I think
Whether or not you have a friendship is entirely based on whether or not you want to spend the time in the car to see your friends.
I have a theory about that. I think it's the fact that in LA, well, the difference between sincerity in Austin and LA may be the fact that in Austin it's very possible that anybody you meet could be carrying a gun, as opposed to in LA you know that nobody's packing. So there's this let's be honest, in freer states with freer gun laws, you're a little bit more polite. There's not as much road rage because you may get shot in the face.
Yeah, I don't think I would. I've never been afraid of anyone that has been like that. I'm pretty sure is just eating like avocado toast.
Yeah. Case in point, exactly.
Like you're not intimidating if you've just come from brunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, in your Prius. That's not a. I feel like there's a lot of Priuses around here.
Yeah, I think probably 90% Priuses.
Yeah, and I always do the test, like when I'm driving around. If you see a truck, like in Texas, everybody has a truck or some sort of SUV, but in LA, if you see a truck, there's like something in the back, like tools, and it's like a service vehicle, or there's like they're hauling something. It's never just like a big empty truck like it is in Texas.
In Texas, everyone thinks they're going to use that truck for something, and they never do.
No, they don't.
Like this will be the time where I gotta go get all that lumber for the. And it's just like, how often do you need a truck? I mean, it's great when you need it, but then do you need the person who drives it? Like, would you want to maintain a friendship with someone who drives a truck just for the off chance that you will need their truck someday?
I mean, you know, moving for coming from somebody who's moving, I think that chance might be. I've definitely factored that into certain relationships that I've thought about, like defriending somebody on Facebook. I'm like, wait, does this person have a Toyota Tacoma? That definitely affects my decision.
I don't agree with your choice of a vehicle until I need it.
Exactly.
Well, can't you just rent a truck for like $20 a day from U-Haul if you need it? I mean,
no, you need to maintain a relationship for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then, like a month before you're moving, you send out a message that's friendly and doesn't ask for anything.
Want to get brunch? Yeah.
Knowing that you're going to need it again in a month.
Yeah.
That's how it works. You could spend the $20, but instead you maintain a friendship for a decade.
It's about the experience. It's really about that experience of being a terrible person and basically abusing a friendship that way. You know, everybody's got to do it, especially if you're a refrigerator.
If I had the truck, though, I wouldn't tell people. I would just be like,
you wouldn't tell people?
I wouldn't tell
Keep
people.
it in an underground
I'd
garage.
keep it on the wraps. I'd park away. Like I wouldn't.
No, what if you had one of those like toppers on the back that made it look like an SUV? Like it almost like it's like a fake, like it turns it into a Suburban or a 4Runner, but then you could take it off when, you know.
I don't know. I think even if you have a Suburban in LA, people want to use it.
If you have a Suburban, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You have to have
They'll track you down.
A truck that's disguised as a Prius somehow.
A transformer is what we call it. Right on.
Well, Zach, what are you gonna do when all this is over? What's your first thing you want to do?
Well, first thing I'm going to need is for you to help me move back to Los Angeles.
We're bringing it around full circle here, you know?
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, I'm itching to get back to California. I genuinely like it there.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'll do, and then look for work. I have no interesting answer to this question. I haven't given it any thought, just in case, this is going to last a long time. I don't want to get my hopes up.
No, high expectations.
But I think I was thinking about, who I would, because I'm not going to hug everybody anymore, So my hugs will be reserved for people that I genuinely care about,
and that you've tested.
And now I'm not going to give any high fives. I'm not going to do that.
No.
I'm just going to be cold and aloof.
That's the bet. I think that's most of America from now on.
I feel like we can get rid of the handshake, right?
Yeah, who likes it? Who likes it?
I like a good handshake, guys. I like a good handshake, especially
You really like a good handshake?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, there's just something, there's something, and there's something there. I gotta say.
I feel like it should be reserved for like special occasions, like signing contracts or like
meeting your
asking for your
dad.
father-in-law in marriage.
Yeah.
Wife
Yeah,
hand in
like
marriage.
I had a tweet the other day, like who actually likes a handshake besides Jay Leno when he's trying to like pretend like he's folksy and doesn't have a manager. Like that's always his thing. It's like it's just a handshake deal.
That's the beauty behind it. There's so much that you can communicate in a handshake. Like, I'm better than you. I'm so much better than you. You know, it's there's so much there.
I don't know. I've gotten a lot of slimy handshakes where I'm just like, I don't know.
Sounds like you're hanging out with the wrong people.
Maybe, but it's just, I don't know. Like
wiping their noses before. Yeah, just like
I mean, who really? I don't think I would want people to feel my hand.
Did
like,
you?
It's nothing special. If I put on lotion every day, which I don't. Like it's like I don't need to present this to anybody.
What's that one part in Ocean's 11 where Bernie Mac is like he's like trying to get the guy to sell him the vans for like half price or something, and like he shakes his hand, but like he kind of like holds it really tight, and he's like, "Oh, you have some soft hands there, sir. You know, we should all put lotion on before we go." It like kind of like weirds them out in a weird way. It's like, you know, that scene wouldn't exist without the handshake. So I don't know what you're talking about, guys.
Okay, you've sold me.
I'm gonna put together. I'll put together.
You've sold me on it because if we didn't have the 2011 remake of Ocean's 11.
Hey, it was 2000.
Why? Yeah, that would have really sunk that film, I feel.
I mean, to be fair, didn't Bernie Mac also die of like some infectious
I
disease?
don't think it was the handshake.
It might have.
I would bet on it that his kidney problems were not handshake related.
Zach, listen, I'm going to put together a video essay on why the handshake should survive, and I'll have a whole lot of media examples in there.
We have other forms of expression. We don't need to be touching. A wave. A wave is fine.
a wave.
Thumbs up.
I'm fine with an elbow. That's the new thing.
Disagree.
I think
elbow's the hand of the arm. No, it's not. But goodness. I guess the hand is also the hand of the arm. But
that's true.
Oh gosh.
All right, man. Gosh, we've been talking for an hour. Zach, if people want to find you, where can they go?
They can follow me on Twitter at Zach Anner, Instagram at Zach Anner, Facebook at Zach Anner. And I recently got TikTok, although I don't know what it is or how to use it.
Oh, geez. I opened it up the other day, and I felt like I was being assaulted. I had to shut it off. It
really does feel like an assault.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that everyone does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like instead of having original ideas, someone does something, and then a billion 12-year-olds do it.
It's like that's always been the same thing, except we've never had to see it on the internet.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm really hoping to grow the TikTok. That's my main focus.
Apparently, Dr. Phil is on TikTok now. So if Dr. Phil is on TikTok, then I think we all should be on TikTok.
Dr. Phil. Is that where he got his medical license from?
Very possibly.
Dr. Talk. All right. Thanks so much for doing this, Zach. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the rest of the show. This part of the show is brought to you by Phoenix Shaving, makers of the most excellent aftershaves, shaving soaps, and all things traditional man. One of my favorite products of theirs are their aftershaves. Phoenix Shaving intentionally blurs the lines between traditional aftershave and classic cologne. Each batch of aftershave cologne is created by using traditional perfuming methods, giving the wearer a high dose of quality skin food matched by the staying power of berry white. Now, I tell you, this stuff is amazing. It'll make your skin feel great after a shave, and the alum and menthol just removes all irritation and razor bumps. They have classic barber scents and even more creative soap and aftershave fragrances. Like, my favorite is the Tombstone scent. It smells like leather, tobacco, and gunpowder. Pretty unique. So ditch those vials of chemicals you buy at the drugstore every month and grab some artisan soap and aftershaves from Phoenix Shaving. Go to gentlemanscofflaw.com/shave to help support the show and get some fantastic manly grooming products. Phoenix Shaving. Shaving outside the box. All right. Great guest, great friend as usual.
He's awesome.
We'll have to have him back on. I think we're going to have him on as like a guest co-host for some stuff. So since he's got some more time, he mentioned he wanted to do some of that. Also, if you want to support the show, there are many ways that you can do that. Follow us on all the social media if you can. If you're on them, follow us on all of them, because sometimes we post different things to different channels. You could always
to keep you guessing,
Yeah, you could also leave us a comment in the YouTube video comments, or you could send us a message, or leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play or wherever you listen to the show for a chance to get featured on the show as well. What else can people do, Donovan? There's a couple of things that they can do.
Say hi to us on the street. I mean, did you mention going to our website?
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't, but yeah, that's good.
Well, going to our website is always helpful in the sense it's got a great layout, by the way. It's very user friendly, and you can check out the links on the website. You can also go to our merch shop. And, Father's Day is right around the corner. So you can check out the merch in our shop. And what else?
Don't forget our Patreon.
Social media. Patreon. Yes, this is also true. You can it's a pleasure providing you the content that we provide. I mean, really, we're just hanging out. But obviously it's, everything helps. So we like to provide you with somewhat of a product. I'd say like something of a product. So if you're feeling generous, go ahead and hit us up on that Patreon.
Yeah, and
but honestly, Oh,
go ahead. Sorry, I was
just gonna say, like, your eyes and ears are enough. But yeah, if you're feeling generous, go ahead and throw a couple bucks our way.
Exactly. And also people that have contributed on Patreon are part of the reason why we're able to launch a video on this, and everything helps us improve this show, and it allows us to do more giveaways and all that kind of stuff. Also, it looks like we're going to probably be releasing our video episodes on Patreon a few days before they're available on YouTube. So that's another reason to do that. If you want to watch the show over the weekend, you could join on Patreon. You'll get it right away with the audio podcast. People on YouTube will just have to wait a couple of extra days. But that's just another incentive for being on there. You get to be part of the VIP club.
Yeah, you get to be part of the experience.
All right, Donovan. Oh, wait, I forgot one thing. Join the giveaway on our Instagram /Gents Scofflaw. We're giving away Garden of Bali aftershave. And
because once you get out there into the world, once all this craziness is over, you're gonna want to smell good. You're gonna want to even if you have to stay 6 feet away from somebody, you're gonna want that wind that wind to carry.
Be that downwind breeze.
You want to carry the right vibes downwind. That's it.
Or for those of you who are even just, stuck in quarantine with a spouse and, not want to smell like you haven't showered in 5 days.
The old ball and chain.
Spice things up, slap a little aftershave on.
Yeah.
All right, Donovan, you are a gentleman and a scofflaw, my friend.
As are you. Thank you for taking the time, Mr. Crowder.
Thank you very much. And you guys have a great week.
This has been the Gentleman Scofflaw podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. Visit us on the interwebs at gentlemanscofflaw.com.
Captain says his ice on the river. We ain't getting home if we don't break through. So damn cold. I can't help but shiver. Rise and shine, we got work to do.